Hey, what's up guys? Theo here. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to build a very simple JavaScript router. So on our back end, I just have a very basic Express web server running on port 7000, and you can sort of see it there. I got Morgan as a logging service, and it's just serving up this public file, and it's gonna go to index.html. So cool. I want to go ahead and start it off. So again, just vanilla JavaScript, and I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger for us. And I'm gonna start by writing almost like a document.ready method if you're used to jQuery, but in vanilla JavaScript. But what we can do is we can grab the window object and use its event listener, which is onload or DOM content loaded. And basically this will tell us when the DOM is available to us. So I can just say DOM has loaded, and we're just going to basically get an idea for if we're able at this point to interact with the DOM. So here we go, DOM has loaded. So now we can do some JavaScript. What I'd like to do inside of here is what I need for my router is I'm going to create a constructor. So I'm just going to give some comments in here for whoever might want this. I'm going to say create a router constructor. And this is very, very simple. So I'm going to say var router, and it's a function, and it's going to take in a name and some routes, and it's just going to return an object to us that has name and routes. And again, if you're using ES6, you can just do name because it'll be inferred. Cool. So with that, that's our router there. What I'd like to do is create a fresh router, so I can say my first router is equal to a new router, and I want to pass in my first router, and then I'm going to pass in an array of objects, and this array of objects is going to have 3 routes that we're going to build, and they're going to have a path property as well as a name property. So I'm going to grab this, change this to about, and finally we will do contact and contact. Cool, so that's our router. Let's log it out just to make sure it has been instantiated correctly, and I think, let me make sure I got this right. Very cool. Let me log out my first router, refresh this, go back, and cool, we have our router. It's an object, it has a name property, and it has a routes property, which is just an array of objects, and each one of these is has a name and a path. Cool. So that's set up correctly. What I'd like to do now is sort of detect it on page load. So I can say var current path, and I'm going to store a variable named current path that I have here, and inside of it we're going to store whatever window.location.path name is, which is going to resolve to in this case just slash, but let's look at this current path. So right now it's slash, and that makes sense, right? But if we change it, let's go back and we'll change it to contacts. Now we're getting contacts, and you can keep messing with this here, contact. So now we're just gonna get the actual path where we are. Cool. So what I can do at this point is I can say if current path is, if it's just equal to root, and this is sort of the base case, right? This is the easy one to account for, so let's do that first. And what I can do here is I can latch onto my view, so I can say, I'm going to grab my view up here actually, say var view equals document.get element by ID, and we're going to pass in the element that we want, view, and I can say view.inner HTML. I'm going to say you are on the root page. So now with that, here we go. Oh, we're still on contact, sorry. Okay, so here we go. you're on the root page, and it knows that, again, because our window.location.path is indeed root. Okay, so, that's why we're going to get that. Awesome. Next up, what we can do is we are going to, let's go back to the console here, and let's account for the other cases. So I can say here, I can do, what we want to do is we want to check that the route that they enter, right? So we want to check, say, about. We want to check that that actually exists in this router that we passed in. So we can say my first router, we could say var exists, and I can say, just say route is equal to my first router dot routes. Okay, remember, because it's an object, and we can do dot filter, and filter off of the route, and in here we can just say we want to return the route dot path that is equal to the current path. And because we're doing filter, we need to grab the first route, and let's just log out the route here, make sure we're getting something back, and just to prove it, let me open this up a little bit more. Right, so we have about, we run this, we're getting an object with a name of about and a path of about. However, if we go to abouts, we get undefined because that does not exist when we created our router. And we also have contact. Okay, now we're getting a path of contact and a name of contact. Cool. So with that, we can do the same thing. We can do view.innerHTML is equal to you are on the, what we're going to want to do here is route dot name plus path. And space there. Here we go. So you're on the contact path. You are on the about path. And again, we need to do one more thing. You are on can't read property of name of undefined. So here we can just say if name and cool. And otherwise, we can do view.innerHTML equals no route matches this pattern. Right, something simple like that. Now if we go to abouts, no routes match pattern about, and why is it giving me that? If, oh, sorry, if route. Okay, cool. So about, you're on the about path, and no route matches this pattern. Cool. Let's go back, and you're on the root page, and we've just about completed our router. I would say, maybe a better one for this is, 404, right? So now, no matter what we go to, right, we go to error, we're going to say 404. So that's sort of our catch-all. And now what I want to do, we've worked on implementing that at a very basic level, but I want to wire up some buttons that, maybe a user can click. Maybe this is a link in a UI, and these are going to allow us to navigate sort of like in a single page application framework or architecture where we're not, downloading the resources every time. We have the whole application bootstrapped, and we are just basically switching views, doing some logic. Okay, so we have root, we have about, and contact. And what I'm going to do, in a lot of frameworks, you might see this on the router. If you're working with React or Angular, right, you could, put something here, whether it's the href, right, or an attribute. So I'm going to call my attribute route, and this is going to be the root route. This is a route to about, and this is going to be a route to contact. Pretty intuitive, and cool. Those are the only ones that I need. So what I can do here is I can create another one. All right, let me do it underneath here. Say grab all active attribute routes. So I can say var active routes, and that just means any element that has this attribute. So I can say document dot, first what I need to do is anytime we're grabbing a lot of nodes, I'm going to get a node list, and a node list is array-like, but it's not an array, so we need to convert it to an array to map over it or do a for each. So I'm going to say array.from, and our query is document.querySelector all. We want all of them, and our query is going to be anything that has route. Okay, so just to prove this to you, I can console.log active routes, and let's see what we get back from the DOM. And so we get these 3 buttons, right? And we can look, if we look at, where is it? Attributes. Attributes 0 is indeed route, okay? And its value is the slash. So cool. Awesome. So what we can do at this point, right? So if I change this to routes, now what happens is, we're getting 2 back because only 2 meet that query. So now what we can do is loop through all of these. So I can say add event listeners. So I can say active routes dot for each function, and we'll just say active, or even we could just say route. And what I want to do is I want to say route dot add event listener, and I'm going to give it a click event listener. I'm going to call it navigate and false. Okay, so come up here and we'll say function navigate. This is going to be passed an event, and what I can do here is I can say var route equals event dot target dot attributes 0 dot value. And again, if you're not sure where this is under the attributes 0, which is the route. Again, we could do some more validation there. Dot value. So that's going to give us what we want. And again, we can say we can do route info is going to be equal to this router, right? So we need my first router dot routes dot filter function route, and we're just going to return where our dot name is equal to, our dot path is equal to the route. So let's go ahead and log out route info and see what we get at this point. So here if we click about, so now we're getting an object with about. Cool. If we click contact, we're getting that, and if we click root, then we're going to get root back. So all of that seems to work. Just another null check, we could say if not route info, right? If we're not getting anything back, or if it's undefined, then we'll just say, again, we'll do, where is my view? I can say view. I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher so I don't get any errors. So I can say, let me bring this over a little bit more. I can say view.innerHTML equals no route sys with this path, right? So maybe I have another route here called just 404, and it truly is a 404 route. In that, if I click this, let me see what's happening. If not route info, console log, no route. Okay, let's try this again. We're not getting it. Let me look at route info. Oh, where it's an empty array. Okay, so what we can actually do is this. We need 0 there. So here we go. There we go. No route exists with this path. Cool. And yeah, we needed 0 there because filter is going to return an array to us, and we just want this first object in that array. So otherwise, if there's a route info, then what I can do is I can say I'm going to need to do 2 things here. First, what I need to do is I want to say window.history dot push state. And what this is going to do is this is going to add this route to the browser history API, as well as append it onto the end here. Push date, so we don't have that continuous network call. First is an empty object because I'm not passing any data. I can't remember off the top of my head what the second one is for, but I don't think you really need it. I think it is a name if you want to give it. This is a name. And then the next one is the actual, change you want appended to the URL. So in this case, we're going to say route info dot path. And then finally, I can do view.innerHTML is equal to you have clicked the plus route info dot name plus route. Okay, with all of that, let's try this again. So you're on the about path. Here we go. You've clicked the root route about. You can watch it as it changes up here. You're on the contact route, and 44 no route exists with this path. So there you go. Last thing I can sort of show you is a window.history. And here we can look at it. It shows us the duration and our state. Our state is nothing right now, but at the same time, like I've said, is you can actually state or name tester, and again you can leave that blank. So here we go, right? And if we get window.history again, we can see now we have this state, and I guess not. Let me see. Window. All right. So let me log it out. Console log window.history. All right. Let's try this again. Window.history. It is a state, and it's got a name of tester. Cool. But yeah, I usually leave that as an empty object, or I have. So our application is entirely wired up. We're not getting any errors now. You've clicked the about, root. We got our push state going on there. 44. We could even give this a 44 as well. So we could say window.history.push state equals push state is just going to be, we could just say 44. All right. So now we can get this 44. Or maybe a better one is error. Cool. So awesome. Yeah, guys, our routes are entirely wired up at this point, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So take care and have a great day.